What is going on, everybody? This is your man Dre Mack with another episode of the Dre Mack Show. I'm going to talk to women today through Clubhouse. Ask that question: are men listening? Are we actually listening to the concerns of Black women? We want to make sure that we get this conversation started today on the Dre Mack Show.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? This is your man Dre Mack with another episode of the Dre Mack Podcast
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Dre Mack Show. I am live right now on YouTube, live right now on the Facebook page, the Dre Mack Show page. I'm also live inside of Clubhouse. Make sure that y'all add me on the app on Clubhouse too. So when I am doing podcasts like this, I'm doing shows like this, and I do have a panel on Clubhouse, you guys can be able to comment in on Clubhouse, be able to have your voices heard on Clubhouse. Shout out to everybody that's hit me up on Facebook. What's going on, Erica French? Today's topic: do Black women feel that they are not being heard by Black men, and why? We want to be able to have that conversation. I do have a few Black women that's in here right now on Clubhouse, so we could be able to have that conversation. So let's go ahead. This is an educational point, and I'm gonna say this now. Again, I'm live on Clubhouse and I'm live on YouTube. So if you do not want your voice to be heard, you don't want anything to be said that you said in privacy, make sure that you just stay in the audience on Clubhouse, because I don't want you to come back but like you didn't give me permission to use my likeness or whatever. It's live right now, and we're going to be able to have that conversation. So I'm on Clubhouse right now. I don't know which one of the ladies wants to go first. Make sure you guys that's in Clubhouse are pinging other ladies and stuff like that in here, so we can be able to have that conversation, to get that conversation started. So who wants to go first on Clubhouse right now? And remember, this is not a bashing session.
I'm the OG of the club, Therese. I'm 51 from Atlanta, Georgia, so I'll go first.
All right. And the question again: do Black women feel that they are not being heard by Black men, and why?
I believe Black men are not listening to Black women, and I don't want to say all Black men. I just want to say some aren't listening to women, because I feel that a lot of times they have the pressures of the outside world going on them. They have that they're already a Black man. They're facing the challenges of what we're dealing with in the culture, between police brutality, the workforce, being educated, so on and so forth. And then they come home and it's like they just want to come home and sit down and, watch television, watch the game, and at that time, the Black woman sitting there saying, hey, I want to offload on you. And he's like, babe, just give me 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes turns into him falling asleep in the chair. And then at that point you feel frustrated because you feel like you're not being heard. So that's just, some of the things that I've heard and some of the things I've experienced of Black men not listening to Black women. This is Therese, and I am finishing my thoughts.
All right. So your biggest thing, and I want to just come to you because I want to kind of give my thought on that. So you're saying like sometimes Black man has already been beat up at work and he comes home, he wants to relax. And you're saying the last thing that he wants to hear is your concerns, basically, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
Do you think there's a reason for that? When we're talking about black men, we're talking about in general. We're not talking about all black men. But is there ever been a situation where you ask that black man like, "Hey, what's going on? What can I do to be able to help? Because I don't want you to sit and feel like that. You can't relax in my presence. You can't have peace in my presence."
I was previously married, so I'm divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And I can speak from my own experience that my husband and I were both in the military at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was very much a pressured situation because, of course, we're both in a career that is a high pressured field. And I feel like when he came home at that point, he doesn't want to hear all this other stuff. He just wants to, chill out and focus on chilling out. Versus when I come home, I'm ready to offload because I'm like, you don't know what the commander did to me. Let me tell you what the commander said. And I don't think it's that he doesn't want to listen. I just think that it's not as important to him as it is to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's as, because he's like, look, I'm going through the same thing you're going through. So, suck it up. And I think that's the attitude that a lot of black men is like, you're strong enough. You can deal with this. You can deal with that. You got it. Don't worry about it. And sometimes they take that for granted, and it makes us harder. So what happens is the feminine side of us now starts to fade, and that masculine side starts to build. You see what I'm saying?
Because you feel you're saying because you're feeling shaded because you wanted to make sure to be able to basically lay your burdens, all the things that you got going on your man, and he basically rejected that thought and said, "I'm in my own world right now."
Correct.
All right, all right. And to me, and this is just my opinion, and then I'm gonna go to someone else who's ready to speak. But I think that's the miscommunication that we sometimes have, is that if a man, and especially an older man, sometimes gets stuck in his ways and he don't want to listen, he don't want to hear what you got to say, and as bad as it sounds, that is something that us as men, we have to take into consideration both sides. If a woman is saying, "Hey, I want to be able just to unload myself because I had a hard day too," we just can't go and say, "Oh, well, let me chill out," and then we never give that woman time. So I appreciate your thoughts on that, and if I'm wrong, you could most definitely correct me if I'm wrong of what I said at that point.
No, I agree. I think the miscommunication comes because there's no follow through.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes as women, we just become disgusted, so we don't follow up on what we're feeling. We just let it go. We fester it, we harbor it. And then, like I said, we develop that masculine side where we start to build that wall. So we lose the femininity. And then what happens is all the feminine ways that our husbands or our partners want to see, now that starts to diminish. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
Now I'm starting to build a wall that from a lack of communication. And I think it's on both ends. I'm not saying it's a one-sided situation, but I just find that a lot of times with us as Black women, we're expected to hold a fort down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you say that, you do make a valid point, is you're saying that I have the amount of pressure on me too. So it's not just you, it's me too. And I believe that's the point where we both have to come to a conclusion to have a conversation, to actually be real, what I'm saying, to be 100 with it, and not, feel like we have to step on eggshells with our partners or whoever it is, so we can be able to get a better understanding of each other. So I appreciate that conversation. I appreciate you saying that. That was some good information.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Who is next? Make sure that you state your name and your age and where you're from.
I guess I'll go. So my name's Aaliyah. I'm 28. I'm from Illinois. I reside in Colorado. And I'm sorry, your name is Therese, correct?
Therese, yes.
Correct. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
What she said, especially with my generation. I feel as if one, we don't get the amount of respect that we should, just because, I mean, times have changed so much.
Yes.
We don't respect men like we should. Like, and it definitely depends as far as like your upbringing. So, for instance, me, like my grandparents just had their 50th anniversary type of thing. Like my mom is married, all my uncles and aunties are married. Like that's something that I grew up around, and that's my mom's side of the family versus my dad's side of the family is nowhere near that, complete opposite. So I feel like men don't do what I grew up seeing, and so I feel like sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I know it's not necessarily correct or the right way to go about things, but I feel like if you're not doing a certain thing, that I don't have to, like, for instance, if you're not working and you're not providing for your household, I don't feel like I have to respect you to the level that you should be. Is it right? No, but that's something that I have to work on, and that's kind of where I'm at right now in life, if you will, which causes a problem. So now you feel as if I'm taking your manhood and I'm being disrespectful, and I am making you basically feel less of a man.
Okay, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know if you paused or what happened.
I'm gonna do not disturb. It was a phone call. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you feel like the generation that you're in right now, do you feel like that they had a lot of misfortunes growing up? You know, we live in a society, and you're a 90s baby, correct? So your 90s baby, or the 90s babies, the 2000 babies are actually the result, the results of mass incarceration that happened after the Richard Nixon era. So you have a lot of people that grew up without fathers. You have job loss, where a lot of the factory jobs was moved out of the cities and moved to the rural areas. And you also are the effects of crack cocaine and the war on drugs. So do you feel like a lot of those factors factor into the reason why we don't have men in their roles like I think we should, because there's an imbalance between the Black family, because there was an attack on the Black family?
Definitely. I definitely do, because of course, like, I think my grandparents are like in their 70s at this point. That is completely, I mean, how y'all were raised, and how they were raised, and the different things that they seen growing up and stuff. Like it wasn't abnormal to not see two-parent family like households, or for the man to work and the woman to be at home taking care of the children and making sure the house is clean and stuff like that. That's not the case. And I definitely feel like that. I mean, as far as the drugs, incarceration, all of that, I definitely feel like all of that plays a big, big part. Because most of the time, the men of my generation never had an example. Either your father wasn't there, maybe he was in jail, maybe he passed away. Sometimes your parents might have been on drugs, so you kind of had to fend for yourself. So now you're in survival mode, which most of the times means that you don't know how to, like, you kind of program yourself to be emotionless. And so when you try to get in a relationship, it doesn't work, because now you just don't have that connection, because you've already programmed yourself not to have that. And then you have single moms where we feel like we have to do everything. So we are working 2 or 3 jobs a day. And at least me personally, I feel like when it comes to men, I have 2 boys. So I need somebody that's going to be an example. And you run the streets are not going to be an example. Trying to be a rapper at 40 years old is not going to be an example. Feeling like you can do other stuff besides work a job or have your own business that does so. If you're not meeting halfway, you can't be an example. It's kind of pointless at this point. Like, I feel like I'm too old to just be shacking up and, oh, you're cute, so yeah, you can just come move in and stuff, which I feel like is another big issue, because people in my generation, it might just be here. But there's some that, I mean, you guys they are strictly in getting in relationships, moving to your house and eat your kids' fruit snacks. So it's just, we don't have the respect that we should, because the way that things, or at least we are taught that things are supposed to be, we're not getting.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this: when you express these concerns to these black men, do you feel like they are listening to you, or do you feel like what do you feel? Do you feel like they're listening, or what's your experience where you're expressing that type of concern to a man, to a black man?
I mean, I can do even both of my two previous relationships. The first one, I felt like it was, if I say it, then okay, you'll do it maybe for anywhere between a few days to maybe a couple weeks, and then we're right back at square one. And so now you're irritated with me because I'm irritated with you, and I'm voicing that, and it might not be in the most respectful way. So now it's like, well, I'm not being, and then that's another thing, at least for me, when I don't necessarily give recognition. So you do something for 2 days, you're not going to get recognition from me on day 2. Like, I need to see consistency. So with that particular situation, it was like, okay, when I was doing it, you didn't basically praise me for this, so I'm just going to give up and quit trying.
So you're saying, so you're basically saying, and didn't mean to cut you off, I apologize for that, but you're basically saying, in all, you're giving men an opportunity to take accountability, step up, and move forward in your life. And you're saying that the men that you have talked to has just not taken that role and taken the ball and run with it. Is that correct?
The first one, yes. The second one, it was a complete 180. Like, okay, it went from wanting to hang out with friends and gang bang and do all that kind of stuff, and to the point where, like, okay, so this is going to be serious and we're going to take this to the next level. Again, I have children, so I need you to be an example for children.
Absolutely.
So all of that completely was cut out. Like, now you're going to work every single day. You're coming straight home from work. We're doing family time. We're cooking dinner. We're eating together. Like, we're doing things as I've seen them being done grown up.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I appreciate you voicing that. And I'm just going to do this so because I know I'm on Clubhouse, so this is just a little housekeeping and everything. Everybody who's watching me on YouTube right now, make sure that you're liking the video. Make sure I gotta have my likes up. Make sure that you're commenting in the comment section, and I am going to get to some of the comments here in a minute. Make sure that everybody in Clubhouse, make sure that you guys are adding more people into Clubhouse. I want to be able to have this conversation, to get this conversation going. I understand that people cannot stay there. And men that are listening in the audience right now, I'm going to do this same subject, but for you guys tomorrow. So make sure that you guys, and I know that you guys got your hands raised and you want to be able to hear these concerns and hear these conversations. This is the point in time that I want women to be able to listen. I mean, to be able to express themselves, and men take a seat back and just listen to those concerns, because maybe, just maybe, some of those concerns are something that you're dealing with, and maybe you could be able to adjust accordingly. But we are going to get to men's concerns about black women on tomorrow. So if you're in the audience, make sure you tune in at the same time tomorrow. We're going to do a men's panel so we can be able to get the men's point of view on this particular subject. So I thank you guys for coming through. Who wants to go and be? I'm sorry, Leah. Did you have any other concerns that you wanted to express before I go to someone else?
No, I'm fine.
All right, cool. So who else in the audience wants to go?
Hey, I would like to go.
All right, state your name and your age and where you're from.
Hello, I'm Aaliyah Jackson. I'm 31. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. And when it comes to black men listening, I actually have a question for them. I know that they love their mom, but it's the lack of respect that they give us because they don't really like their mom. And that's where I'm at with it. I think most black men, because of what you said, the division in the black family, for whatever reason, whatever happened in the household, I don't think most black men truly like their mom. I know they love their mom, but I don't think they like their mom. And I think our generation, my age group, we're dealing with that.
So would you say that you have certain men who grew up with mothers that possibly didn't treat them properly, probably cussed them out, talk crazy to them and stuff like that, and they're growing up in a world where if their mother treated them like trash, how can they be able to treat you better? Did you see that the kind of concerns like that? And have you had those conversations with those men who you felt like don't respect women enough?
I've tried to have the conversation, but I don't think they honestly want to go. When that's that's when you're bringing in feelings, childhood, everything you've been through. Most Black men don't want to do therapy. Most Black men don't want to do that work. Yet, as Black women, we do it. We do our work. We make sure we have our stuff together because we have to for y'all. But y'all won't do the same for us.
So you're saying so let me just make sure that I understand. So the audience, because I do have people that's commenting, and I'm gonna get to comments on everything. But are you saying that there's a lack of accountability for the mental health side of it? Because normally in our community, in the Black community, we do not discuss mental health properly. So you're saying that maybe there's a mental health issue that needs to be addressed, and that Black men need to, make sure to go more to therapy, not to bash the Black church, but if your pastor is not a licensed therapist, to me, that's not the same thing. That's just me. I'm not trying to diss anybody, but that's just my concern. Would you say that you could be in agreement with that?
Yeah, that's definitely fair to say.
I'm sorry, expand on that. I didn't get to hear that part.
Oh, I said that's definitely fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that I don't think Black men see us as Black women. I don't think they value us. So, of course, if you're not valued, you're not going to be heard. No one's listening, honestly, to poor people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you don't value us, then how would you listen and see us?
And I can say, I'm gonna just flip that just a little bit, because we have the advent of social media. Of course, I'm on social media. We're all on a form of social media right now. So can you honestly say that and it could be, and I'm not blaming it all on social media, because we all make choices. And I want people to really understand that. I want my audience to understand this, that's watching this on Facebook, that's watching this on YouTube, that we do make choices in life. So can you honestly say that because of the advent of social media and we see half-naked women, like you could go through IG and see 1,000 IG models with they butt out, with their breasts out, and all of that. Do you think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't respect? I'm not saying a lot of people, but some men don't respect Black women because they see something and it warps their mind, and they think, oh, that's okay because I seen this IG model like this or whatever, so I could just come to someone else that doesn't know me like that. Do you see that?
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't see it being a problem, because just like they go through their IG, we have bearded men, we have our IGs too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's no excuse.
So what do you see as the problem, and what do you see how men can fix it?
I just think being vulnerable and open to how you actually are feeling is okay. Like, you're a Black man. I know it's tough being in America, but if I'm your piece, it's okay for you to come home and cry if you need to. Vent if you need to. Like, talk to me. I don't know how to even cater or what to do. Like, I don't know that there's a problem if you don't tell me.
Right.
Or there's something that's lacking or something that you're needing, because I'm only there to help you be stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not there to tear you down, but you got to meet me halfway when it comes to being vulnerable.
Absolutely. And let me just ask you one more question, and then we're going to move on to someone else in the audience. Do you believe that men are afraid to be vulnerable because they're afraid if they express their feelings that it would not be well received, or they feel like it's a sign of weakness? Because I am going to speak for men on this one. Ever since we're little kids, we are taught to be tough. And especially Black children, Black men that grew up in the hood, the ghetto, the projects, we are taught to be tough. You got to be a man. Even though we might not see the proper example of that, we are still taught you got to be tough. You can't cry. You got to be this, suck this up, do this, do that. So there's an advent of mental of a mentality that we have to do so we don't show a form of weakness. Can you speak to that? And is that something that you've ran into, or is that something that you maybe men are afraid to do because we are taught to be tough and strong and not show weakness?
I mean, I understand that. The only thing I can say is that when you are with your mate or you come home, if you can't be weak there, where can you be? Like, if you can't be vulnerable with me, where can you be vulnerable if you already feel? What I'm hearing you say a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the world is already against y'all, so y'all are taught to be very tough and hard in things. But if you can't come home and take off your armor, then what's the point of me being there?
Right. And just like how you guys were talking about previous relationships, and I think Leah said that, is that you do have men who've been in relationships with women who have been very open to open up to their woman and have been completely trashed and be called a punk, be called, you know, why you acting so soft? What is up with all these feelings? All, you know what I'm saying? And why is this all in his feelings and stuff like that? And I'm saying because of the algorithms on YouTube, but y'all get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Why is this all in his feelings, this, that, and the other, or whatever? You know what I mean? So it kind of makes some men that have been with women like that more hardened to be able to express themselves. And I'm gonna go to the I'm gonna go a little bit to the to some of these comments, because I want to be able to talk and speak to these comments. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with Stephen James's comment. And one of you guys could be able to ask this question. He asked a question: can they handle or respect a man who only makes $40,000 to $60,000 a year, or do they lose respect for him? So anybody can answer that question. I'm just going to the question that's in the audience right now.
That's not a lot. Oh, go ahead, Grace. I'm sorry.
Okay. Hi, my name is Grace. I'm 31. I'm in Philadelphia. So I was raised that you have to respect and love your partner for who they are. The way you meet them, and once you really get to know who they are, that's who they are. You can't just change them. So for me, it's not about the money, because I've dated men who have, over $50,000 salary, and somebody that only has a $30,000 salary. It's about how you treat me and the respect that comes with it. Because money, you can make money anyway, anytime, any day. That's not I don't feel like that's the problem with Black women first being with the Black men. It's just the fact of that, are you going to treat me with respect the same way how you treat your mama with respect? Or if you don't treat your mama with respect, how do you look at women, especially Black women? Do you look at us as your enemy? Because my thing is, I'm not here to be your enemy. I'm here to be your partner. I'm here to be your friend. I'm here to be everything and anything that you need, as long as you're giving me the same thing, vice versa. So money, for me, has nothing to do with anything.
Absolutely.
You can lose it all tomorrow, and guess what? I'm still going to be here. But again, how are you treating me besides the money?
Absolutely. And this is another one. I'm gonna shoot to the panel before I get to someone else. I just want to make sure that I'm getting to the comments here. And I'm just going off of what my good friend Erica Rutherford, she said on YouTube. Honestly, honesty is the way to fix it. Just be honest. Don't string women along. Do you agree with that? Men just need to be honest.
Yes, I completely agree. Because even with the 40,000 and 60,000, my personal experience, my best friend got married to a man, thought he was a manager at a place. He was supposed to be making 75,000 a year. We pop up to his job one time. He's just an associate, which is not a problem. He's just an associate and gets paid $12 an hour. What was the point? And I feel like they try too hard to impress us that you are misleading. So then when the truth finally comes out, it's like the whole thing is a lie. Like, what are we doing here? That it makes no sense. Now I
it's going to be harder for me to want to deal with you, let alone respect you. And you didn't respect me enough to be honest with me. Because you feel, I don't know if you feel like you were going to be judged, or I don't really know what the logic is behind telling stories or fibbing or lying. But I mean, I feel like honesty goes a long way. And once that is broken, it's pretty much over at that point.
All right. And I can see that, you know, because a man ain't got to lie about his money. But I mean, I honestly agree with it. He ain't got a lot to kick it. I mean, we've been saying that since the 90s. You ain't got a lot to kick it. Stephen, and again, these are just the comments, and I just want to read this. He feels like there's a lot of deflection going on in this conversation that, you know, black men, because again, Stephen, the question is, do black women feel that they are not being heard by black men, and why? So this is just the way that they feel. He's asking the question. He's saying there's a lot of deflection. Do you believe that women are deflecting the conversation when it comes to black men not listening, or do you believe he's off base?
I would like them to elaborate. Yeah, what she said.
The how is what you're saying?
Like, I would like kind of I would like for him to elaborate exactly on.
Okay.
I guess what he thinks is being deflected.
I don't want to speak for him, so I'm allow him to come back with another comment.
Like your opinion also, if that's okay. In the meantime, or how you're interpreting it.
Mm-hmm. And again, I want to make sure that this is not a bashing session, but I feel like we most definitely have to be able to listen to the concerns of each party. And when we're listening to the concerns, you're not going to agree with everything, because that's ridiculous. You're not going to agree with everything what someone says. But what we have to do is be able to allow people to express themselves properly. In the process of expressing themselves, yes, eat the meat, spit out the bones. Something you might not agree with on there, that's just fine. But if we're listening properly, we could be able to get a true understanding of what's going on. And I think this is Just Dessert 81. How can I call in? You have to go to Clubhouse. You have to download the app called Clubhouse and look for the room, the Dre Mac Show Live PC, or Black Men Listening to Black Women, so you could be able to get in on the conversation, so we can be able to talk about this properly. And ladies, Stephen came back and says deflection is when we don't look at the whole picture. We only go on the perceptions, which can get you messed up in a conversation. So do you agree with what he's saying?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and explain why do you agree? Oh, that's the line.
I feel like a lot of times, I feel like, you know, me and you had this conversation before, Dre. Some women get hung up on the idea of what a man can potentially, and women too, potentially what a man or what a woman can be, and how we can come together and be together. But we're not looking at it fully like, okay, this person really don't have all this going on. They really don't have all that. Because let's say you are being 100% honest about your situation, but you still got this idea thinking like, well, I can make this work. I can do this. I can do that. But this person is not willing to bend how you might be willing to bend. This person might still be stuck in the way that they want to be stuck in. Or they might not. So they're like, all right, well, I don't have to share this. And, you know, they'll just figure it out. So they'll go ahead and deflect towards something else, like an insecurity of yours or something, and make it seem like it's you and it's not you. It's really them.
So do you? So let me ask you this: when you do see the deflection, how are we checking that? Because this is what and I know my man Matt has been in the audience the whole entire time. He's listening to what we have to say, and I appreciate that, Matt, because you've been the only man that actually stuck around and listened to what these women's concerns are. So salute to you, that's in the audience right now on Clubhouse. When you look at that, when we're looking at this deflection thing and the accountability and everything, do you feel like that some women are not taking accountability also? in the situation, and why? Let's go to the why too.
Okay, so I'm going to say, because I've been raised by my dad. I have a dad, stepdad, and I have uncles and brothers. So I've always been around them more so than my sisters. I feel like we're always telling men, own up to what you do. You know, you need to be honest and come correct about what you do. And not that we want to play the victim on purpose, but we always want to be, the damsel in distress and dainty. And it's never, listen, you're not perfect either. And also it's depending on how you raise. Like if you don't have a parent that teaches you listening, you're not always going to be right. You're not always going to be correct about something. You got to apologize. If you don't teach your children those things at an early age, you're going to constantly think, okay, because I'm a woman, I can just go ahead and get away with it. I don't have to sit here and own up to what I do. We always have to teach men accountability, and I feel like women don't really learn accountability until after we get into a relationship with a man. I can't say every man, but with a man who is willing to communicate and willing to be vulnerable and pull you to the side and let you know, like, listen, you need to learn how to, take accountability for what you do because this is what you're doing, and I'm gonna tell you why you're doing this and point out the key factors behind it.
That's a good.
That's real truth. Like we don't really learn that until afterwards.
That's good information. That's really good information.
And I feel like we don't recognize it in ourselves until it's brought to our attention. And the moment that it's brought to our attention, we automatically get defensive. I feel like instead of trying to come to a common median and then like try to figure out a solution, it's defensive. It's always defensive. I don't know why it is. And then I feel like this whole phase of being toxic or talk about how you're toxic, like that's cute, and it's really not. Like we do things.
It's not cute.
Are completely unacceptable. Like completely unacceptable. And then it's accepted somewhere, but like just common sense, like it's not okay, and we'll never admit it. And a lot of people or a lot of women have a problem with apologizing, or if so, then it's like in kind of like a smart aleck way, like we're just doing it so you can shut up about it, basically. Or so I don't feel like we I don't know, like I don't know.
So
but yeah.
So I know somebody who's been sitting here patiently has been Nikki. Nikki, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
You've been listening to the conversation, and Nikki is a friend of the show. She was not. I mean, I was listening. I was about to read the comments and talk at the same time. But she was on the show last week when we had the conversation. Out of everything that we're hearing from these women, and we had different demographics. We had someone that older woman who spoke. You have someone that's in the 30s, someone's in their 20s. From everything that you've heard, what are you thinking? Are we not listening to you guys, and why?
You know what? It's really a multi-layered question.
Okay.
There's so many different specifics to go into it. It depends on the type of individual, the type of man that we're talking about, because I think when we have certain discussions, we like to categorize all men together, right?
Yes.
But men are different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Based on their age, how they were, brought up and so on and so forth. So I don't necessarily believe that all Black men are not listening to Black women. It's the type of Black men that certain women are attracting. And that's where it goes.
Speak to that real quick. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but speak to that for a minute.
Because, I don't even really feel that it's more so certain women aren't wanting to take accountability. It's just that you have to be whole yourself in order to attract the type of relationship that is befitting to you. So it's so easy to, kind of go in circles with different conversations and topics like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't really understand the nature of what it means to have a relationship. And I feel that for me growing up, I had, I saw my grandparents being together, and I saw my mother in different relationships and things of that nature. And let's be honest, there were a lot of toxic things that I saw within those relationships that I don't exhibit in my own relationships right now. So I paid attention to a lot of that. And so I feel like for certain men, you know, and we've talked about this before, Dre, where, you know, a lot of what happens within our environment plays a big factor on how we move forward in different relationships, right?
Absolutely.
But for women, a lot of women, they don't have that luxury. So like we typically, you know, will have children and we have to immediately nurture those children. And sometimes we will pass on toxic situations to our kids. So the most important thing that I would tell any woman or any man, therefore trying to have any form of a relationship, is to heal yourself first. And then you will attract a mate that is befitting to you, instead of looking at, oh, what are you doing? Or what isn't this person doing? Instead of looking at yourself and saying, well, how did I attract this person? Apparently there was something that he was doing or she was doing that I liked that attracted me. And so that's what I feel like the issue is. We're looking externally when we should be looking internally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was excellent. Excellent. And I have Dr. Ranji who just popped in the house. So I want to be able to have her speak and be able to open up dialogue, because she's been listening to the show this whole entire time. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna unmute your mic so we could be able to oh, you got to unmute your mic real quick so we could be able to talk.
But I kind of wanted to keep hearing what some of the ladies were saying, and you know, just kind of listen and pop in when I can. But what Nikki said was beautiful, and it goes on both ends. Actually, this is the issue that we're not realizing, I think, as a people, is that survival is first and relationships are second, if not third or fourth. So we're having a lot of trying to establish survival through relationships, which is, I mean, to be honest, that is just how it is. But once you're in survival mode, character changes, energy changes, chakra changes, all of these different changes happens when you're in survival mode, and that's what we're in. And we refuse to talk about that part as well with the men in a way that they can hear it and understand it, and it goes into their heart. And women, when you have children, when you birth children, you want things so immediately, which makes absolute sense, because children are immediate. They are immediate beings. They need to be fed now. They need to be loved now. They need to be bathed now. They need to be changed now. But a lot of us don't have the now because we're in survival mode. So let me listen a little bit more. Let me listen a little bit more. Let me hear a little bit more, because I'm coming in on 45 minutes of the show. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to say. Like, for instance, when your man gets home and you want to dump on him, which is absolutely natural about your day, he needs an hour or two. You need an hour or two to decompress and de-engage from the day, from what the man has done to you. The man, everybody knows when I say the man. You need an hour or two to de-engage and re-engage in family life. This is with anybody, any race, any creed, any soul needs to de-engage from your day in order to reconnect to family life. That means as soon as I come through the door as a woman, I can't hear, I need dinner, I need da-da-da, I need do-do-do, we need da-da-da, we need da-da. It's very overwhelming for anyone, which is why we have crock pots. That dinner should have been cooking all day. So you didn't have to worry about it. So you didn't have to, immediately think about it, because dinner is already on the table, because I thought about that at 7 a.m. or I thought about that last night, and I have an automatic timer on my crock pot. to start cooking whatever is in the thing. So by the time I get home from working, dinner is already done and I don't have to step into this kind of quick and fetch situation when I really just need a glass of wine to decompress. I need some kisses. I need some hugs. I need some hugs from my children need hugs. My man needs hugs. I need hugs for like an hour or so. So I need to hear some more because, like I said, I'm coming in on while people are talking, 45 minutes in. But there are a couple of things that we have lost as a people because we're in a complete. Okay, I'm reading some of the comments, and I don't need to do that while I'm talking. Excuse me. So excuse me. But there are some things that in a rigmarole of the household, we need to learn how to do to each other that we're not learning how to do because of all the extra pressures that we have as a Black people, as an African people in this country, as a labor class, because that's what we are. We have to understand that we're the labor class, so we're going to get treated differently. And until we understand that we are the labor class and we don't have our own economy and we don't have our own political power and we don't have our own social power, there are things that we're going to be missing that we think we deserve every day. And we do deserve them every day, but the labor class doesn't get treated like that. So let me listen some more. Mute.
Absolutely. And that is my good friend, Miss Ron, Dr. Ron. Let me say Dr. Ron G, and she knows I'm not playing. She's doctor. So ladies, you've heard from Dr. Ron G. What do you have to say in response to what she was actually saying? Go ahead. Go ahead with Blue first. We go to Blue first, and then we go to Doris. Let's do that, and then we go to Leah afterwards. So Blue, go ahead and.
Oh, basically, just to wrap it up in a summary, I think what she said is true. Like, there's a lot of, and it piggybacks right off what Nikki said. There's a lot of self-work everyone needs to do first. And then when we heal ourselves, then let's come together and see what we can do. But if you're not going to do self-work, it don't matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to put in the work. Doris, go ahead.
Definitely. I was going to say, like, the self-work, and then the other part is definitely the respect for each other. Like, even while we're doing self-work, it takes nothing to respect a person, outside of whatever you're going through. I mean, you get, what they say, you get more flies from honey than vinegar. So it takes nothing just to ask, how you doing? Are you good today? Do you need something? Even if it's just to sit there and talk and listen to that person, it takes nothing. It takes nothing to hear somebody out versus trying to think that your problem is bigger than the other. Because trust and believe, we could walk in the mall with somebody else's shoes and be like, Dad, this is stressful to me. And they walking in it every day.
Absolutely. Leah, go ahead.
Honestly, I was just going to say what Blue said. I definitely feel like you can't love somebody else unless you love yourself first. Like, how are you supposed to give somebody something that you don't even have yourself?
And to piggyback off of everything that's been said, there's work that has to be done, and it takes both sides to work. But if we're not listening, it's almost like you go and take your car, your check engine light is on. And a lot of people don't know, if they don't know anything about cars, that check engine light can mean a million things. It just doesn't have to be one thing. It's just saying, I need service. So we also need to look at ourselves and say, I need service, and to be able to check ourselves to see exactly what needs to be serviced at that time when it comes to me. And once we get our service done, then we can understand if we see someone else that needs to be serviced. Then, and you could be able to have that honest, that honest conversation with someone and say, hey, I didn't mean to dump on you. That's my bad. And I'm gonna go off of this comment that Erica says. She says, so should we not set a time aside for each other to get things off our chest? Absolutely. You have to set a time. You have to have your time. That person has to have their time, and then y'all can be able to come together. But the conversation, I believe, and this is just me, and any one of the ladies that's in the that's out here can be able to disagree with me or whatever. But I believe we don't have serious conversations about simple things. And what I mean by that is that we are so caught up in this fantasy land of love and happiness and this, that, and the other, and oh, you make me feel so good, and all of this, that we don't really have a serious conversation about how this looks realistically. You know what I mean? So when you're talking about setting aside time, babe, give me when I come home, give me an hour. Give me an hour. Give me that hour. After that hour, you can come in here and fool with me, but at least give me that hour. That's a realistic conversation, especially if you're living with someone. That's a realistic conversation. And then that person can't sit and get mad because it's already been said, I just need an hour. Whether that's the man or the woman, I need an hour. And then after that hour, I'm all yours. But make sure you come in, give me my love, give me my kisses. But as far as decompression, like Dr. Ranji said, let me get that time. Let me get that time to decompress, because just as a man, listening to all the conversations that has been had today, and it's a beautiful conversation, we do get beat up at work. A lot of people don't know and 9 times out of 10, we might be the minority at our jobs. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things that go on, when you're that minority at your job. A lot of code switching, a lot of not feeling adequate. Boss might have called you, said something silly to you that he wouldn't say to our counterpart. There's a lot of things, not making an excuse, but giving an example of how that decompression could happen. Because as much as I want to listen to what you got to say and everything, I have been through hell from work. So let me get a time. Let me get my time right quick. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like everyone needs their time. And Dr. Ranji, I know you're anxious. What do you have to say as far as that?
I think the way that Erica was
you're breaking up just a little bit.
I said, I think the way, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think the way that Erica said it was exactly how it needs to happen. But this is what I think. This is what I think. Not what I feel. This is what I think. I think that a lot of people don't realize that married life is a structured version of single life. Single life, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. Married life is not like that. Mm-hmm. Married life, especially with children, has to have a daily structure that everybody expects 100%. So when your man comes home in a married life type of situation, he has to know what he expects when he comes home. And so do you. This is also a big problem. And I have this problem too. It's because I feel like I'm talking to the women all the time. But women need this as well. These expectations have to be met and have to be structured and have to be talked about and agreed upon as women and men become married couples. So when you become a married couple, no, you can't dump anytime you want to. No, you can't. Erica was exactly right. Do we not set aside a time? Maybe the time for us to talk about what is going on with our day or what happened with our day or our particular frustrations in and out the relationship is after sex. Who knows? I don't know what your personal situation where you both are able to receive each other and able to talk to each other, because if it is after sex, that means that baby's got to go to bed at 8. Everybody got to be in the bed by 8 o'clock so we can have this good sex so we can talk. Right? And I'm not saying that's everybody. I'm just trying to use an example of how a couple might structure their particular day or week so that these conversations can occur, because these conversations need to occur, because he guides me and I guide him. He comforts me and I comfort him. But the very first connection that has to happen is between him and I. Once we get home from work, and even throughout the entire day, that connection between him and I has to occur first before anything else. But that means in a life where you have children, especially if you have multiple children, you have external family members, you've got work, you've got finances, you've got all of this different stuff, that how that needs to come out. Communication is a part of intimacy. That's absolutely correct, Erica. That's what I'm trying to get at. Communication is a part of intimacy, but it's not only the dumping, it is the structure of the dumping. It is the structure of how he feels respected and how she feels loved. Do you know what I'm saying? That needs to be communicated. And I think that's a big part of what we're missing. And if a lot more couples had that conversation of how I need to be loved, and how, okay, baby, you don't want me to talk about my day until 7 o'clock. We both get home at 5-ish, and you don't want me to talk about my day until 7 o'clock. Okay, well, I need you to give me some kisses and some love and some this and some that. And until 7 o'clock, or until the kids go to bed, I won't talk about my day. And but I need some affection. Forget about the day between the hours of 5 and 8, and kiss on me and love on me while we're fixing dinner, while we're doing the, homework, while we're bathing the children. And then at 9 o'clock, it's on and popping adult time.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we have that conversation, you know what I'm saying? Then we can have the expectation of what this structured life looks like. But married life is not single life. And I think a lot of people are going into, men and women are going into marriages and committed relationships thinking that married life looks just like single life, except you got somebody at home to cook for you and you got somebody at home to pay the mortgage. No. It's a complete restructuring of what it is to be married, what it is to live together, what it is to raise children together. Michael.
Absolutely. I'd like to thank everybody who came in today. I was kind of trying to keep this about an hour. Ladies on the panel, do you have any final things that you want to say, or respond to what Dr. Ranji said? Nikki?
I have something. Yeah, I definitely have something that I want to share. I think something that will ultimately help is if we stop looking at it from the perspective of ourselves all the time. And sometimes look at it from the perspective of your mate. What I've heard a lot today is, like looking at it from your perspective, this is what happens to me, this is how I feel. But you also have to take into consideration the way that your mate feels. You know what I mean? Like, stop making it all about you in the relationship. Think about your experience. Because from the perspective of, a Black woman, a lot, you hear a lot from Black men, and they're saying things like, I'm, the minority at work, and I'm this and I'm that. Black women are also the minority at work as well. The same hurdles that you have to overcome, we have to overcome those same hurdles. And 9 times out of 10, for a lot of Black men, they have someone to go home to express their grievances, where there are a lot of women who don't. And they're having or expected to do everything, And I think it's important that in any relationship, whether if you are in, if you're single, if you're married, stop listening to everyone else and set your own expectations for your relationship. If you have the foundational principles of, you've done the self-healing and the self-work and things of that nature, there is no right or wrong way to have a relationship with someone that is your soulmate or someone that you're connected with.
Right.
Having those conversations, I completely feel, are extremely important. But every two people, every one person, everyone is different. So the way your grandparents' relationship worked, obviously the times have completely changed with social media and just different things that we have that can somewhat play a part of the disconnect within our relationship. So set those expectations based off of, what are non-negotiables to you within a relationship? What are your negotiables in a relationship? What's the most important to you? And I feel that every person, man or woman, should have a list of what's most important to them within their relationship. So once they meet that individual, they can make sure this person have all of the qualities that they're looking for. And then again, most importantly, like I stated a little bit earlier, making your own rules. There's no right or wrong way to have a relationship if it's aligned in the core principles and the things that are most important to you.
Absolutely.
If I could just
Go ahead.
say something.
Go ahead.
What Nikki said translates into, how can I make, in your mind, it translates into, in your mind and in your heart and in your chakras, it translates into, how can I make my mate's day better? What can I do to make this a smooth day for my mate? And if you're both thinking about each other, nobody's neglected. If you're both thinking about how you can both, make each other's day better and give them what they need and most of what they want, then that will, what Nikki said, will translate into real life. Because I think what we're having a problem is we can have these conversations, but we don't know how to translate this into real life. So if you say, baby, how can I make your day better? And then the other person say, how can I make your day better? And you actually have a conversation about that, you will come to every single point that Nikki just talked about. A specific relationship towards the two of you where you are communicating, you have intimacy, you are satisfied, you are heard, and you are, helping the other person get to wherever it is that y'all want to be together.
Absolutely. Does anyone else have wants to say something before we start wrapping it up here? Any more of the ladies? All right. So I thank you guys for tuning in to the another episode of the Dre Mac Show. On tomorrow, I need the men to show up because we're gonna reverse this. What do black men feel like they are not being heard by black women, and why? We're gonna flip the conversation because I want to hear from men. What is not being heard from you, and how can we be able to get that information out so ladies can listen? No bashing sessions. We're trying to educate each other, and that's the biggest thing when we start talking about educating each other. Dr. Ranji, we're going to have our conversation. We have another conversation on Wednesday talking about trauma. So we're going to talk. I got this whole thing lined up. We're going to talk about trauma on Wednesday, and then our good friend, there's a friend to the show, Nikki, is going to show up for that show also. So I appreciate her for coming through. Everybody who's seen that podcast yesterday, it was a joking podcast. It didn't go out right. It didn't turn out exactly the way that I wanted it to. It was supposed to be a joke. I would never do that again, because with great power comes great responsibility. Uncle Ben said that to Peter Parker, and my podcast is to be able to stand in the gap. Not only are we going to talk about Marvel, DC, and all that other stuff, we're also going to stand in the gap for our people. And if we could be able to have these conversations and we could be able to learn from each other, that's exactly what I want to do. We want to be able to stand in the gap. We want to be able to learn from each other. And these are the conversations that we need to have. So everybody that was on the panel, thank you so very much. Thank you for everybody who tuned in on the YouTube channel. Make sure that you give me a like. I need those likes, like the YouTube channel. Make sure you're liking, excuse me, good guy, and subscribing to the YouTube channel also, just because I want to be able to get to a certain amount of people. I'm about to hit 100 subscribers. Of course, that's small, but we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I am going to do a giveaway once I hit that 100 subscriber. I'm 1 subscriber off, and then I'm gonna go to all my subscribers and be able to pick one person and be able to send them a $25 gift card just for liking the Dre Mack Show. So again, thank you very much for tuning in. I love y'all. Shalom to everyone, and I will see you on tomorrow.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? This is your man, Dre Mack, with another episode of the Dre Mack Podcast Show.